Thank you very much. Firstly, I just wanted to say that ESB Networks, echoing what Paddy said, we're very happy. We've been delighted to be part of the European-wide study run by Eurelectric. And what I'm going to talk about now is you've heard about the impact of the energy transition across Europe and the grid investment needs. And I suppose I now want to talk about what that means for Ireland. So for ESB Networks, we're at the centre of the energy transition and we're proud to be playing a leading role. We're very acutely aware of the fundamental importance of the network to the decarbonisation of society, not only by facilitating renewable generation, but also by the electrification of heat and transport, but also through other actions such as enabling the active customer and citizen energy communities. So in kind of following the outline from Pierre, just to say that the main items for ourselves in ESB Networks are that over the next 10 years, we will be investing 6.9 billion in capital works. These are figures compiled from our price review, which is for the next 5 years and then extrapolated based on our best estimation for the next 5 years, bringing us out to 2030. And it is a significant amount that we're spending in developing the network and supporting the economy. You've heard from the Eurelectric study that the investments for DSOs across Europe are 50 to 70% higher. For ourselves in ESB Networks, our capital investment is increasing by 80% over our next price review. Again, just to say that, like what we found out from looking at Europe, that this increased expenditure shouldn't have a major impact on the electricity tariff for our customers. And then finally, just to say that we have been working with our regulator, CRU, and we have just completed a price review. And over the period between 2021 to 2030, there will be 2 price reviews. And I'll speak a little bit about the end about some of the innovations and challenges that we have there. So moving on to the next slide, just to be clear about what are the challenges that and the changes that are facing the energy system. So when we've developed this is directly following on from the government's climate action plan, from Project Ireland 2040 and from our national development plan. So what we're going to see on the energy system by 2030 is almost 1 million electric vehicles. We're going to see flexibility products and services being provided by a whole range of people, by various industry companies, aggregators and customers. We're going to have 600,000 homes with electric heat, both new build and refurbishment. Our smart metering project will be 2.3 million homes with smart meters. This is a real way. Smart meters across Europe are a real way of unlocking the potential of the customer by providing better information from the customer and providing a mechanism for them to take part in various energy markets. We also want to enable our customers to become more active. We want to enable energy communities and help them develop. And then, of course, we'll be connecting large amounts of wind generation, both onshore and offshore, and solar. And it's important to note in the box there on the right that we'll be seeing growth in electricity growth or across all sectors of the economy. And probably worth pointing out that our growth in Ireland at around 3% is up there at the top in Europe. It's the same as Germany, and only Denmark has a higher growth rate. So how are we going to enable all of this? First of all, it's probably worth having a look at our current distribution network on the left-hand side. Traditionally, this network has been a network where energy has been generated at the transmission level and it has flowed in one direction down to the low voltage customer. What we're going to see moving on to 2030 is that there's going to be a lot more distributed generation. There's going to be power flows in 2 directions. There's customers are going to be enabled, and we're going to have greater visibility and more dynamic management of the network. And we're moving to this transition with a multi-year project, our active system management project, to enable all of this. So a number of things that will happen as a result of this. For example, in order to manage the increasing levels of renewables on the system, and for system stability, about 60% of the system services will need to be provided through the distribution network, and we need to be able to dynamically manage our network to allow this to happen. We want to facilitate all our customers to participate in all the markets in whatever ways they choose. We also want to be able to procure flexibility in all its various forms as potentially a way of avoiding investment in infrastructure and avoiding congestions on our network. Moving forward, we want to move from having a passive network to having a more active network, and we want to be able to optimize and use all the headroom and existing capacity to its maximum that we currently have in the system. To do that, we have to move from a system where we have very little visibility at the lower voltage levels to one where we have almost 100% visibility. And again, through all of this, we need to have clear and closer cooperation with our TSO, so with the different system operators. So moving on, one of the key things here, as I said before, is we're going to be connecting significantly more renewables, perhaps about twice as much as what we've been year on year as we've been connecting to date. In terms of doing that, we have, as part of our continuous improvements, we have met all our targets for our various connection offers. We have been looking at many different types of improving our connection systems, such as new connection types, such as hybrids or non-firm connections. We have been working with our customers in order to optimize their wind farm development. We have made process improvements on how we can connect customers quicker and faster and more cost effectively. And alongside large-scale renewables, we've also been working very hard in the whole area of microgeneration to develop ways to facilitate microgeneration. And we have an interim solution in place for this at the moment for the middle of this year, with an enduring solution expected with the end of the smart meter rollout in 3-4 years' time. From that, we want to take this cleaner energy and use this to power our heat and transport. But alongside doing that and alongside building those connections, we have to, and optimizing the use of our network, we'll still have to invest in capacity in our network. And it's about investing wisely, proactively, and using the best resources we have for that. But just going on to look at the electrification of heat and transport. We have recently published our strategy on the electrification of heat and transport. The bars on the left-hand side just give a flavour of the projects that we have worked in with a number of different collaborators and stakeholders over the last 10 years, developing our knowledge of how the network will work with various low-carbon technologies. The Dingle project there in the middle is one of our flagship projects and is very active at the moment in looking at how we can adapt and how the system will behave with these technologies. Our strategy for the electrification of heat and transport largely revolves around removing barriers internally, streamlining our processes, providing information for customers, and ensuring that our network is ready and able to accommodate all the electric heat and transport. One of the things that we have done in order to future-proof our network is to change our standards to ensure that moving forwards we are able to accommodate this. We also have a FIMS process which involves forecasting and looking and developing new models for our LV network, models that we didn't have to have before because we had a largely passive network. Moving from there to identify congestions and potential problems, monitoring our network, increasing our visibility, using smart solutions, flexibility, dynamic contracts, aggregated solutions, technical solutions, and then from then to strengthen our network wisely when we have to. So just looking at that and building on that, the graphics on the left show our low voltage system across our eight different customer types. And what we're really showing there is this is a piece of work we did 1.5 to 2 years ago. And it shows that by adopting smart solutions on our LV network, we could save potentially maybe 20% in terms of spend on that. And then also, just to echo what Pierre said and what's been found in the rest of Europe, there is a large section of our network that is aging and is getting older. There are, in actual fact, in Ireland, some parts of our network, we have some assets that are 70, 80 and 90 years old. And these networks will have to be replaced. They will make them, by replacing it will improve our continuity, improve the reliability of our network, and reduce costs overall. We also have a large program about network resilience and automation. So what we're trying to do there is to target our asset replacement and maintenance based on various metrics to do with the health and condition and the risk of the assets. We're integrating all our network information. We want to create self-healing on the system through, say, for example, replacing things like switches with automated switches, including decision-making on our networks. Because we are also going to be using and taking advantage of everything that digital can offer us. We also are very conscious of cybersecurity, and we have a cybersecurity program in place in order to protect our assets, our digital assets. And then finally, we have programs to look at climate adaptability for our network to ensure the resilience of our network in the face of adverse weather conditions as well. We also have, I just wanted to particularly mention continuous innovation. You'll see at the top there, there's 3 graphics, and these are the 3 streams within our innovation project. So they mirror the main streams within our network strategy, which is all about customers, connecting and empowering and enabling our customers. It's about climate action. How can we decarbonize electricity through the connection of renewables and through using clean energy for heat and transport? And then network resilience, how we can have an efficient, secure, reliable energy system. Now, I suppose the couple of boxes there below just show that we have a very active innovation area. We look at a number of different projects. We collaborate with a lot of different companies, and we also transition projects that move from the innovation space can transition into business as usual. And I suppose I just want to show that we're only going to be successful in our plans to the low carbon transition if we work and we collaborate with others, and we listen to others and take on board their ideas. So then, just to come back to the investment needs. So I said at the start there, we're showing that we need to invest about 6.9 billion between 2021 and 2030. This is the breakdown that we have. It follows and lines up with the Eurelectric grid investment study. It's important maybe just to note 2 of the electrification items there. So we break out these in terms of what electrification means for new businesses, for connecting new customers. So it's not just about the new items, but it's also just about connecting new houses and new business. And then also we have load related with the increase in use of electricity, and even with adapting and using as many smart technologies as we can and using flexibility to its utmost, we still have a need for increasing the capacity on the network. Our network moving forwards, we want it to be more smart and more resilient, more reliable. And then finally, just over in the corner, I particularly wanted to call out digitisation, because we have a big digitisation project looking at how digital can help unlock numerous items throughout the whole of ESB networks, from customer, from data, from increasing visibility on the network, from proactively managing the network, from deciding and implementing smart technologies and smart uses. And then again, I said at the start, I'd mention how this would impact on our electricity costs. So what you have there is a metric just showing the different components that go into a typical domestic bill, from the piece relating to networks, to transmission, to supply and wholesale generation costs. And again, this just shows what's regarded as a typical bill. The work we've done for PR5 has shown that we expect about a 0.7, less than a 1% increase in this type of bill up to 2025. And we've also done further modelling to show what it might be up to 2030. And again, while there's a number of variables in it, it is showing that it's relatively modest. Now, one of the other items that I wanted to mention here is that, well, I said at the start that we are changing utterly the way that we use our networks. Society is changing. We are decarbonising. And it is right that at this point in time, we take a review that with all these changes, is our current tariffing methodology the right, and is it efficient, and does it work for this new world? So that's a review that our regulator crew will be leading off this year, and we will be supporting that. And then finally, looking at the fact that we've just come out of a price review for these 5 years, we just wanted to acknowledge that all the changes that I talked about in terms of the changes required of the networks and what we're to enable, our regulator has provided access to funds for ESB networks to deliver on the Climate Action Plan. They've made available allowances to reflect the changing nature of the DSO, which I've explained through our active system management project, among others. We're also moving to having greater emphasis on the outcomes and what we've achieved rather than the processes we use to achieve them. Our regulatory model facilitates innovation, and we have a number of incentive mechanisms, which I've just called out there. And these are mechanisms that have plus and minuses for us, and have also a new suite of them this year, which refers to Agile Investment Framework, so that we can match the developments and the changes in the electricity industry. And then finally, and just in summary, is just to say that the electricity network is central to the decarbonisation, and we want to show that we continuously deliver service and value. And we believe this gives us a strong, sustainable future for us all. Thank you.